Do you miss the old days?
I miss football a great deal. Yes, I do.
What do you miss about it? Do you miss the roar of the crowds?
Well, not the roar of the crowd, just the competition and using, I guess, God-given ability, really. I just miss being a part of football, but I do enjoy the Navy, and I have a big job over here, and I'm going to do that, and that's the most important thing right now.
Roger Staubach was drafted by Dallas in 1964 when he was a junior at the Naval Academy. The Cowboys retained his rights during his 4 years in the service, which included a tour of duty in Vietnam. On his 2-week summer leaves, Staubach would often practice with the Cowboys and dazzle them with his uncanny scrambling ability. He began his career as a backup to Craig Morton, but by the summer of '71, Roger Staubach was given a chance to win the starting job. Having 2 competent quarterbacks should have been a luxury, but head coach Tom Landry turned it into a controversy.
This was a real battle, one-on-one battle. We were actually fighting for the #1 job. Coach couldn't make a decision. He basically said, hey, we have 2 quarterbacks. If he was running a business, trying to pick a CEO, you don't have 2 CEOs, and that was really a mistake.
When the 1971 regular season began, the drama of summer camp seemed far behind. And in the first 2 weeks, the quarterback dilemma was resolving itself. An injury to Roger Staubach early in the second game meant Craig Morton took most of the snaps.
He beat him by 3 steps, and Craig Morton threw as well on that one as he's ever thrown in his life.
But in week 3, the Cowboys' hold on first place and Morton's grip on the starting job both slipped away.
Craig started the 3rd game in Dallas against the Redskins. We didn't beat the Redskins, so then I started the next week. So it was a very confusing quarterback situation.
Things got more confusing in that Monday night game against the Giants.
Back to throw, Roger down the middle, caught for touchdown!
Staubach gave the Cowboys a 13-6 lead, but Tom Landry benched him at halftime.
The first fellow we're going to show you tonight is not the starting quarterback, and that is Craig Morton, number 14. Roger Staubach is scheduled to start. Craig Morton was with the Dallas Cowboys when I was here. Roger Staubach was not. He's a young fellow from Navy. Craig played his college ability out in California. I don't know. They've had some trouble with deciding which one is going to be number 1. Roger's going to start out tonight. Both boys are very capable.
And this is the man on the spot, Roger Staubach. 6'3", 197 pounds, a former Heisman Award winner, now in his 3rd year with the Cowboys. Cowboys into their own unusual formation. This is Lance Allworth in motion left. Staubach has Hayes. Athos is there, but Hayes moves into Giant territory at the 37.
Really a good move by Bobby. You watch him take Pete Athos down. He goes, tries to get up inside of him. He comes back, breaks to the outside. Pete Athos was also with Dallas at one time, and I'm sure he's seen Bobby run deep. He'll give him plenty of room. That ball was well thrown. Good route by Hayes.
Roger Staubach is a 3rd down and 6. Hayes comes to the left. Calvin Hill moves into the slot. Allworth will go right. All this in the attempt to get man-on-man coverage. Staubach, he'll run, and he's a good one. Staubach for the first down at the Giants' 27-yard line. Ralph Heck forcing Staubach out of bounds. But this crowd likes that.
Yep, very exciting, but only a pale image of the Meredith of yesteryear in a similar situation.
Anyone has come into the lineup for the Giants in the prevent defense. 2nd down, 25. Staubach looking. Oh, and he fires out to Bob Hayes, who was really up in it.
Oh, Bobby catches him. They've been making him pay for him tonight. He's hung on to a couple of good ones.
Pete Athos moving up to make the stop.
You'll also see Staubach utilizing Coach Landry's theory. Let's try to get half of it first. He goes down. They had 25 to go. He's trying to pick up about 15. Good sideline pattern.
Out to the left is Allworth. Hayes to the right. Giants in the prevent defense. Staubach will run. Files misses. Staubach up to the 39-yard line. And he'll be very close to the first down, depending upon where they mark the football. Joe Green there on the stop. 31 seconds. Billy Truax is coming to tight end. Staubach getting out of bounds, which he had to do. Yep, he sure did. No timeouts remaining for the Cowboys. Ralph Heck making it. Third down from the 4. Truex is tight end now. Over the middle to Billy Truex.
That's it. That's the same pattern, only he didn't go through. Just turn around. Stop. Not there in the end zone.
They were going to make that work.
Yep. Attaboy, Rod.
Roger Staubach connecting with Billy Truex from the 4-yard line. 17 seconds remain.
17 seconds here in the Cotton Bowl.
Well, he drilled that in there.
He did for a fact. We've got a new quarterback the second half.
Yep, a deviation.
So it looks like they're going to change a little bit. He was welcomed with a simmering round of boos.
You know something about that.
So now I'm thinking, hey, he hasn't been shooting straight with me. That, you know, here we are winning a game, and to be taken out. It couldn't have been anything worse in my mind. That was a horrible moment for me. I mean, I've never felt so bad.
Morton back to throw. Bob throws a bomb way down for Hayes. Bobby's got it. Bob Hayes.
What Thomas couldn't do, Staubach did himself. On third down with long yardage, Jolly Roger skittered 11 yards for a first down. With Manning and now Staubach in the game, football fans were seeing more running than passing from the two quarterbacks. Roger Staubach was at quarterback, and he came out throwing. On the next play, Staubach speared a wide-open Allworth for 15 yards and a first down on the New Orleans 41. Then, while his hand was hot, Staubach went for the biggie and found Gloucester Richardson all alone for the Cowboys' first score of the day. A repeat of the play shows a play action to Thomas immobilize the defense for a brief moment, giving Richardson time to beat his man, cornerback Dallas Howell, and leave the entire Saints secondary behind. New Orleans 17, Dallas 7. Staubach hit Allworth over the middle for 8 yards and another Dallas first down. From the 16, Jolly Roger threw a perfect pass to Bob Hayes, who had beaten the cornerback, and Dallas had their touchdown. Hayes pulled a muscle on the play. However, the Cowboys were back in the ball game 17-14 with 13 minutes to go. But with over 9 minutes left in the game and trailing by just 3, the Cowboys had plenty of time to control the ball and still win. Up to this point in the game, Dwayne Thomas had been held to 46 yards. But Staubach gave the ball to his ace ground gainer in hopes of running the ball to better field position. But each time he carried, New Orleans swarmed him. The Saints' defense had come to this game ranked a lowly 10th in the NFC, and today the Cowboys gained 300 yards on them. But less than 100 was via the ground route, and more importantly, New Orleans was making the big play when it needed it most.
The Cowboys beat the Giants, but lost 3 games in 5 weeks. And Tom Landry began using his quarterbacks like a baseball manager uses his bullpen. In the first half of the season, the offense had no rhythm because the team had no leader.
I think that was the downer at the start of the season. There wasn't a leader at quarterback. There was 2 of us, and it divided the team.
Finally, the war of nerves was settled by Staubach, who led the Cowboys on a furious race to glory.
I did not like an alternating quarterback. I know there must have been a reason that Coach Landry had, But as players don't like that. We like to have somebody over there. If he's not going to cut it, put somebody else in. But let us have somebody to lead us.
I had a lot of admiration for Craig Morton, and, but I was in a tough situation. I was 29 years old at the time, and I knew I could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Well, I told Coach Landry, if you don't have the confidence in me, you need to think about having me go somewhere else.
Roger Staubach, number 12, might have won a permanent job today and jumped off Tom Landry's merry-go-round at quarterback. While their offense was computer precise, the defense was mountain man rough and tumble. The doomsday defense punctured Jim Plunkett's protective pocket, and in a foot race he was no match for the mountain men. 13 years in the NFL have hardened linebacker Chuck Howley's body, but they have also softened his hands, and a turnover makes him run on rookie legs. A taste of running, a touch of defense, spiced with Bob Hayes, blended nicely into a homemade treat for Dallas fans. Hayes' first touchdown was a tribute to his speed. His second showcased his surprisingly soft hands and turned the game into a laugher for the Cowboys. Dallas won the first half 34-7.
The 44-21 victory over New England gave the Cowboys a 4-2 record. And for the first time all season, Roger Staubach played every meaningful minute of a game.
So now we're really in there's everybody's picking sides, Some people want Roger, some people want Craig. That game definitely got some people on my side. I really thought maybe I was in the lead.
It was now week 7 of a 14-game schedule, and the Cowboys still didn't have a number 1 signal caller. In an effort to resolve the two-headed quarterback situation, Coach Landry made a head-scratching decision.
We're in the team meeting, and Coach Landry announces we're going to have 2 starting quarterbacks against the Bears. I'm going to alternate plays. And, Craig and I kind of looked at each other and said, I just hear, what was that? I hate the question. Coach Landry is, again, he's not perfect. He's a little quirky at times. And that didn't make any sense. That just showed the fact that he still hadn't understood that the team was a bit divided at quarterback.
We were getting a lot of penalties because of delay of game. Because the quarterback come in, they'd be shouting on the sideline. He'd look over. It just wasn't... It was distracting. It was very distracting for everybody.
We were beyond the sidelines. We get to play, and it's like 2 ships passing the night. We just go, I run out the field, Craig's run off the field, and sometimes we'd probably high-five each other. It was not one of Coach Landry's great moments.
The Dallas Cowboys have quarterback problems too. Only Coach Tom Landry has decided to solve his in a unique way by rotating on every play Roger Staubach and Craig Morton, the NFC's top and 5th-ranked quarterbacks, in hopes of shaking the Cowboys out of an offensive slump. Interceptions and fumbles have been the main reason Coach Tom Landry had lost 2 of his first 6, and last Sunday against the Bears, he hoped to change all this. Rotating quarterbacks at first did not seem to bother Dallas, as they too played to last year's form and rolled downfield on their first series. First Morton, then Staubach gave the ball to number 33, Dwayne Thomas. Actually, Staubach garnered most of the brownie points on this first series. He's the better runner of the 2, and though not considered the better passer, he completed the Cowboys' first pass after 7 straight runs. Two Mortons and a Staubach later, it was Roger who also made the key play of the drive, a 26-yard strike to Lance Allworth to the 3. Morton then came in and handed off to Thomas, who apparently ended the drive with a fumble. But the decision was to the contrary. On a repeat of the play, watch Thomas clearly have possession when crossing the goal line. The touchdown put the Cowboys ahead on their first drive, 7-0. Then it was time for the big bad Bear defense to try to contain the shuttling Dallas quarterback and their teammates. This, Mr. Crunch and company did as the Cowboys' second series was stopped cold. The Bears were adapting well to the multiple men in motion formations the Cowboys threw at them, while Morton was unable to connect with his receivers. Dallas's third series went no better than their second. In fact, it went a lot worse. After Butkus and his playmates left their calling cards on Dwayne Thomas, Morton avoided a blitz, but overthrew his pass into the middle of the Bears' deep zone with Ron Smith, the receiver. Smith's return again set the Bears up in Cowboy territory on their 32 as the first quarter ended. Aside from their first series, the Cowboys and their two-quarterback system had been ineffective. But on their fourth possession, they began to move again. Morton did the passing on this drive, here avoiding a safety blitz by Smith and hitting Bob Hayes to the Bears' 25. But here the drive stopped. Number 85, Willie Holman, George Seals, Ed Obradovich, rookie Tony McGee et al. Prevented any more big gainers by Thomas, while preventing Roger the Dodger from making a first down on a third down scramble. Morton played this entire series, and with a minute left in the half, was moving his team. But again, as it happened in their losses to the Saints and Redskins, dropped passes and major penalties slowed down the momentum Morton had gained on the drive, and whatever momentum he had, ground to a halt. The Cowboys went for 3 on the last play of the half, but Mike Clark was having a miserable day with his foot. The field goal from the 42 failed, and the Bears watched the first half clock run out, leading 13-9, sensing a chance for another upset over a major NFL power. At the start of the second half and trailing by only 4 points, Dallas discovered their tendency for error was still with them. Craig Morton's reaction to the dropped pass underlined the frustration felt by both Cowboy quarterbacks today as Tom Landry continued to alternate them. Morton's anguish seemed compounded as after each play, he had to walk stoically away from the action as Staubach took his place. The play that Jolly Roger brought in couldn't have been exactly what Tom Landry had in mind. Gary Lyle's interception gave Chicago the ball near midfield, and the Bears' offense had an excellent chance to increase their 4-point margin. Another look at Staubach, and we can see he had time to pass, yet seemingly threw the ball directly to the Bears' safety. Lance Allworth was wiped out with 2 blocks, and Lyle broke 2 tackles in open field before going out of bounds. The usually sure-handed Allworth had 5 catches today. This wasn't one of them. After Morton had thrown his specialty, a dropped pass, Staubach replaced him with his. Rogers' rollout produced a first down and kept the Cowboys moving. Morton finally had some help on the next play. Margene Adkins kept both feet in bounds, and Dallas was at the enemy 40. Adkins replaced Bob Hayes, who was through for the day with a pulled muscle. Staubach's turn, and he went to Allworth at the same sideline and in front of the same cornerback, Bob Jeter. Dallas had a first down at the Bears' 24. But after a run had gone nowhere, Staubach returned to be trapped for a loss by George Seals and Ed Obradovich. 3rd and 8. Morton's turn, and his pass was almost intercepted by Dick Butkus. Butkus hasn't missed many this year. He's among the leaders in the league with 4 stolen passes. The score remained the same, however, as Mike Clark missed his 3rd field goal try from short range as the quarter came to an end. George Andre's recovery gave Dallas a great gift on the Bears' 8-yard line. But as they'd been all day long, the Chicago defense was equal to the challenge. 2 straight runs by Dwayne Thomas got absolutely nowhere. And on 3rd down, when Morton found Garrison with a pass to the right flat, linebacker Doug Buffone made a great tackle to save a sure 6 points. Dallas again had to go for a field goal, and this time Mike Clark came through. The margin was narrowed to 4. The Soldier Field crowd of over 43,000 had seen great defense from their team all day. And now as Dallas kicked off midway through the final quarter, the offense picked up the pace. Ron Smith returned the kick to the Chicago 37. Then Douglas, showing great concentration on his target, found Dick Gordon, who had badly beaten his man. If Douglas's pass hadn't caused Gordon to leave his feet, the leading pass receiver in the NFC would have gone all the way. On the next play, leaving Mel Renfro trailing in his wake, Gordon did go all the way. The Bears had seemingly put a close game out of reach of their opponents. The Bears found it easier to get 6 points than 1, but Bobby Douglas turned his own fumble into the point that zoomed the score to 23-12. Now trailing by 11 points, Dallas had to put the ball in the air, so Landry abandoned his game plan and stayed with Craig Morton. It looked like good yardage on the screen, but Dwayne Thomas coughed up the ball. Had the ball again. The result was the same. A turnover for Dallas, a big play by Charlie Ford, and good field position for Chicago. Again, they blew it. Now the script changed. Dallas took over after a punt. With less than 4 minutes to go, Dallas moved the ball. Walt Garrison weaved his way for 20 yards. Then Morton, rolling out to his right, hit wide receiver Gloucester Richardson, who had beaten Charlie Ford. With striking suddenness, Dallas had narrowed the gap to 4 points. It was a new ball game. With just 2 minutes left in the game, it was left to the Bears offense to control the ball. But once again, the Dallas defense held. They forced a punt into the end zone, and with just 52 seconds showing, the Cowboys offense came on for their final try. Craig Morton passed to Dan Reeves, who stepped out of bounds. First down on the Cowboy 31, as Chicago coach Jim Dooley and his assistant Abe Gibran watched. Morton again went to the sure-handed Reeves, this time to the opposite side. Another first down. Six seconds left in the game. 6 seconds between victory or defeat. Time for one more play. It was all over. Fittingly, the Bears ended it with an interception, their 4th of the day. The 7 turnovers for Dallas had been the deciding factor in today's thriller. It was a great victory for the Bears, for it enabled them to stay in second place, only 1 game behind the Vikings. For Dallas, the loss was particularly stinging because they again fell 2 full games behind the first-place Redskins in their division. Today's game was really the story of 2 coaches with quarterback problems. The problems are of a different nature, and the solutions were directly opposite. In one case, a coach's confidence in a young man appears to have paid off. In the other, indecision has divided responsibility and compounded the problem even further. Today's game was a fitting showcase for both methods.
The quarterback experiment failed, or as Sports Illustrated put it that week, the operation was a success, but the patient died. The Cowboys outgained the Bears, but lost 23-19, and were now in danger of missing the playoffs.
The circumstances after we lost to the Chicago Bears, we were 4-3, and we were not a healthy 4-3. The Redskins were 6-1. They were on a roll. Unnamed players were saying things in the paper. If you would have been in that atmosphere, you would have bet whatever you could that the Dallas Cowboys had no shot at the rest of the season.
The decision to alternate quarterbacks was a mirror into Landry's coaching soul. To him, football was a game of positions, not a game of people.
He was a player, and he was a very, very bright guy who knew an awful lot about football. But he was not a psychiatrist, and he wasn't a real strong motivator.
The quarterback controversy was affecting every aspect of the team. The defense decided it was time to approach Coach Landry, but there were no volunteers.
We voted Leroy Jordan the opportunity to present our feelings to Coach Landry, that we wanted one quarterback, one leader, either one, just give us a quarterback.
On the brink of a lost year, Tom Landry listened to his players and made the decision that launched an American hero and saved a Super Bowl season.
We'll go with Staubach as our quarterback. I think it's Rodgers' time to make his move if he's going to make it. I feel I'm confident he can do it, or else I wouldn't have picked him.
When he announced I was a starting quarterback, it changed my life. That was a kind of a whole new season starting, and we had a team meeting too, and it was a great team meeting.
Real emotional, and where players got up and really were hot.
Hey, this season isn't over. We still have 7 games to go, and
if they get in the goal line, it's over somebody's dead body. Otherwise, they don't get in there. We weren't giving it all we had, and from that point on, we did.
After 7 weeks of indecision at quarterback, Tom Landry was still undecided. So late one night last week, as he walked through an orchard in suburban Dallas, he paused and shook an apple tree. And so the story goes, out fell Roger Staubach.
On offense, Tom Landry's gamble was with Roger Staubach, who fancy-footed through the Cardinals for over 90 yards. With the score tied at 3, St. Louis twice feasted on cornerback Isaac Thomas, number 37, a raw rookie cornerback ripe for plucking. Once Thomas was roasted by John Gilliam, and then he was eaten whole by Dave Williams, whose touchdown gave the Cardinals a 10-3 lead at the half. St. Louis seemed to have the game nicely in hand when Jim Hart found sweet-fingered Jackie Smith all alone in the end zone. But the Cardinals were detected holding on the play, and Dallas later turned this good fortune into a touchdown when Staubach split the seams with a strike to tight end Mike Ditka. In the last quarter, Staubach smartly maneuvered the Cowboys into position to break the 13-13 stalemate. Tony Fritch's 26-yard field goal capped a 16-13 victory as Dallas kept treading water in the NFC East.
Looks like Dallas has finally found their quarterback, Tom.
In a game they could not afford to lose, Dallas trailed 10-3 at halftime. But Landry showed faith in Staubach, and that faith was rewarded.
I knew when he said I was a starting quarterback that I wouldn't be pulled. I mean, it was a whole different feeling. When he announced I was a starting quarterback, he was going to stick with me. This was my season now. This was my team.
Staubach's brilliant second half was the Cowboys' first step on the road to the Super Bowl.
Rolling back at Staubach, looking, firing down the middle, touchdown for Dallas.
Late in the fourth quarter, with the score tied, Dallas knew their season was at stake. The legs of Dwayne Thomas and the arm of Roger Staubach got the Cowboys in field goal range, but it was a foot that decided the game.
And we had a new kicker named Tony Fritch. He was a kicker they found on a kicking caravan in Austria. He was a soccer player and a mechanic. He worked for Mercedes. Tony was funny as he could be, but he didn't understand a word that year. I mean, nothing. We finally got down to the last part of the game. Larry Stallings of the Cardinals said, hey, Fritz, you can't kick the ball. You don't know how to kick the ball. You're not from here. You've never kicked in a game. And we were all laughing about it. We all said, save your breath, buddy. He can't understand a word you're saying. And we all cracked up.
And now we're going to see Herr Fritz, the Austrian. Snap, kick is up. This one is good. The Cowboys lead 16-13.
We believed in ourselves more than we'd ever done at any time during that season, and we got on a roll.
The dealer of the Cowboys' 7-game shuffle to the playoffs was Roger Staubach. Raw in experience but ripe in leadership, Staubach assumed command of Tom Landry's intricate offense.
The Cowboys never lost another game that season. Secure in his role as starter, Roger Staubach now looked over his shoulder at defenders, not at Tom Landry. Staubach was the NFL's top-rated passer.
The longest pass play of the year for Roger Staubach, 51 yards.
Dwayne Thomas led the league in touchdowns.
He picks it off to Thomas, one-handed catch to the 50, to the 10, to the 5. Thomas scores! Great catch, tremendous run.
Most of the games that we won, we knew we were going to win. You know, and that's a great feeling. You know, where you know that you know that you know.
While the Philadelphia attack slumbered, quarterback Roger Staubach teased their defense with some artful dodging. Staubach, in effect, was a third running back for the Cowboys, as improvised scrambles accounted for over 90 yards rushing. His reckless style made every play an adventure for both his blockers and the quick pursuing Eagle defense. Both Staubach and the ball were greased pigs, almost too slick to capture clean. When Jolly Roger stuck in the pocket, his receivers took his lumps for him. The combination of picture-perfect defense, the legs of Roger Staubach, and the smooth strides of Dwayne Thomas proved too much for Philadelphia, as Dallas prepped convincingly for their summit meeting this week against the Washington Redskins. Cowboys 20, Eagles 7.
In Washington, two teams searched for the summit in the NFC East. On this Sunday, the sounds of a standing ovation rang hollow, as rabid Redskin rooters knew there has been a marked transformation in the once invincible Burgundy. While the Redskins closed off the obvious, they were never able to contain the Cowboys' unorthodox quarterback, Roger Staubach, number 12. Even when confronted with perfect coverage and a thunderous defensive charge, Staubach remained undaunted, knowing his legs and luck would save the down. When Staubach enjoyed perfect protection, he rifled perfect passes to receivers like Lance Allworth, number 19. The game's only touchdown came when Staubach sent all his receivers to the right. This left him with an unmolested alley down the left sideline, and he hot-footed for a 29-yard score.
The other runner in the Dallas backfield was Roger Staubach. A sixth sense told him when to abandon the pocket and bust out on planned runs that withered defenses.
Dallas Roger Staubach enjoyed one of his finest days. Roger the Dodger, the NFC's leading passer, evidently didn't appreciate his New York welcome as he bombed the Giants right out of Yankee Stadium. Twice, Staubach found swift Bob Hayes, number 22, for long-range touchdowns. The first connection was good for a 46-yard score. And on the second, Staubach launched a rocket to Hayes for 80 yards, the longest touchdown pass of the year in the NFC. Staubach has been the number one quarterback since the start of Dallas' 6-game winning streak, but he has had lots of help. Number 35, Calvin Hill, is an all-purpose back who has it all: the hands, the speed, and the power. And the former Yale great scored twice against New York. But Hill is only one of two locomotive running backs that Staubach can call on.
fumble, and a bomb, so quick as to be almost painless, but very painful when seen in the light of the scoreboard.
Dallas' second score resulted from a reverse swing pass from Roger Staubach to Calvin Hill, number 35. Very next play, Staubach selected Hill again, and a big setback waltz to an uncontested touchdown. Hill scored 3 touchdowns, and Thomas got his second with a display of sure hands and instant acceleration.
With Roger Staubach at the helm, the Dallas Cowboys had won their last 7 games. For Staubach, this has been a sensational year, one in which he moved from the bench to the huddle to the playoffs.
Being on the roll that we were now a new team, we were so determined that I just, looking back on it, we were going to beat the Vikings in Minnesota.
This 6th consecutive playoff appearance for Tom Landry featured the Cowboys as the NFL's highest scoring team, due to a 7-game hot hand held by new quarterback Roger Staubach. Dwayne Thomas gained 1 yard and 2 carries, and then Roger Staubach stepped back and hit Bob Hayes for 18 yards to the Minnesota 22-yard line. In the first series, Staubach established field position, passing to Mike Ditka. And Staubach rewarded them with a 30-yard key third down pass to Lance Allworth. Staubach continued the drive, hitting Hill for a 10-yard gain. Then he found Bob Hayes lonely in the end zone, and Dallas held a commanding 20-3 hammer over the Vikings. From that point on, with 13:22 elapsed in the third period,
and Roger Staubach cut through the 49er defense with a series of bold strokes.
This is Texas Stadium, the new home of the Dallas Cowboys, where on a sunny second day of 1972, the Cowboys were to defend their NFC title against the same team they had defeated in the previous NFC championship, the San Francisco 49ers. Once again, it was up to quarterback John Brody to crack the tough Dallas defense. And while Brody had not had a super season, the 49ers considered themselves a better overall team than ever before. But Tom Landry, the only head coach in the 12-year history of the Dallas Cowboys, also had a better overall team than ever before. And as always, the constant factor in the Cowboys' success was defense. All-everything tackle Bob Lilly and the Doomsday defense were in the playoffs for the 6th consecutive year, a record unmatched in NFL history. They had won a club record 8 straight games and were undefeated ever since midseason, when Roger Staubach took over at quarterback. The Cowboys were ready to win their 9th straight. Staubach did manage 2 first downs for the Cowboys, both on passes. One a fake right screen pass left to running back Dwayne Thomas. Staubach got the other first down with a 3rd and long conventional drop back and throw to wide receiver Lance Allworth. The good catch by Allworth was to be his only catch of the day. The Cowboy offense had been entirely shut down. But then on the last play of the first quarter, again faced with 3rd and long, Roger Staubach stepped up and got a first down his own way. In the late stages of the first half, Roger Staubach took over the game. He rifled one for a first down to Bob Hayes, and on a 3rd and 19 play, he again stayed in the pocket and found his secondary receiver, tight end Billy Truax, for 21 yards, the longest play of the half. But it was as a runner that Staubach hurt the 49ers the most, gaining consistently whenever he roamed out of the pocket. Although Staubach averaged over 8 yards per carry during the regular season, Coach Landry frowns upon such frivolous antics, and a good deal of this frowning results from the depressing thought that one day, the end of a Staubach scramble may bring the end of a scrambling Staubach. There is one Dallas weapon that no defense has been able to stop consistently, and that is Staubach scrambling. Although the Dallas drive stalled this time, Roger the Dodger would be back for more. With time running out in the 3rd quarter, Roger Staubach was determined to go back to the air. Although Lance Allworth was ruled out of bounds on this reception, Staubach's ad-lib antics resulted in a 17-yard completion to player coach Dan Reeves, number 30. On a repeat in super slow motion, let's take an isolated look at Staubach as Roger the Dodger does his thing. Dallas coach Tom Landry would like to see Staubach remain in the pocket rather than risk injury on his daring jaunts, but it was Staubach's scrambling that was instrumental in confusing the San Francisco defense. At the beginning of the 4th quarter, Staubach continued to move the Cowboys as he found number 87, tight end Billy Truax, open for 22 yards and a first down. Staubach was intercepted only 4 times this year, and his scrambling ability had a lot to do with this statistic. When he can't locate an open receiver, Staubach simply tucks the ball under his arm and takes off. Having established a ground game, Staubach on 3rd and 2 crossed up the 49ers with a bullet to number 89, Mike Ditka. Then from the 2-yard line, Staubach noticed a weakness in the 49ers defense and moved number 33, Dwayne Thomas, from the right side to a slot left. Apparently, Staubach's adjustment was correct, as Thomas danced untouched into the end zone to give Dallas a 14-3 lead. When San Francisco failed to move, Roger Staubach again went back to his most effective strategy.
Back to throw is Staubach. He waits, he runs to his left. He pursued all the way back to the 5-yard line, coming back to the 10. Back off to his right, gets a block from Mander, throws the ball downfield to Reeves, 35. Then he moves out to the 40, and it's a first down at the 40-yard line of Dallas. 3rd and goal at the 2. 9:31 remaining. Staubach pitches off to Thomas around left field. There goes Wade. Touchdown! There it is. The Cowboys are the champions. The Cowboys will go to the Super Bowl.
It was a big win, but the mission hadn't been accomplished. Even though we had taken a step, we still had that tag of Dallas can't win the big game. And the only way to get the monkey off our back was to win it all.
For the Cowboys, it was their 6th trip to the playoffs, and they were again rewarded with a trip to the Super Bowl. But the victory brings the big one, the game Dallas supposedly can't win. But this year, it appears the Cowboys just have too much talent to lose again.
There are so many outstanding football players on these two Super Bowl teams that it would be impossible to enumerate all of them in this short pregame show. Not only that, but in about 3.5 hours, it may turn out that the hero of the day is one of the lesser-known players. At any rate, at this point, just before kickoff, those sharing the biggest responsibilities are the two quarterbacks, Roger Staubach and Bob Greasy, and their head coaches, Tom Landry and Don Shula.
Of course, Roger Staubach is probably the big reason we're in the Super Bowl, first of all. Of course, he's had a great year throwing the football, and when he does scramble, of course, he's probably the best running quarterback that is in the league. You know, you'd follow Roger anywhere. I mean, this is probably the biggest trait he has. He's such a dedicated person. He works so hard at the game to be the best that you can't help but, want to be just like him.
You know, if you say, Rod, you got to win this game yourself, you don't have 21 other players out there to help you, he'd say, okay, I can do it.
So I've tried to make them think that, that I'm at ease, which I am, because I've got all the confidence in the world in them. I'm surrounded by a great football team, which puts me at ease. And right now, as a professional, there's no substitute for winning. You must win to be successful. And I am probably my wife terms, a poor loser. It's hard to judge in most of your games how players are going to react. But in this game, our team is going to play the very best they can. And if that's not enough, we'll figure out another way to win.
Hayes was wide left. Staubach gains 5 tough yards. It'll be 3rd and 3 at the Miami 45 as Nick Buonaconti and Bob Hines made the tackle.
Staubach again trying to set up a screen pass. Watch him look to his right and then again be forced to run as Miami's defense again has excellent coverage. The fake was to Garrison. You saw him look for a screen pass. He couldn't find it. They had it well defense.
All right, 3rd down, 3. Miami 45. Allworth to the right, covered by Foley. Hayes is in the slot to the right. Thomas in motion. Got away from one man. Close to a first down. Nailed by Manny Fernandez near the Miami 41 or 2-yard line.
Don Shula had told us during the week that he had to alert his, it is a first down, by the way, he had to alert his defense that any time Staubach started to scramble, they should treat it as a screen pass. Again, his primary receivers are well covered by the Miami secondary. They play strictly a zone. Staubach, as you know, is a fine athlete. You had that problem against the 49ers, too.
All right, 2nd down, 22. This is Hayes. Short of a first down, but a big gain to the 18-yard line where it's going to be 3rd down and 4.
Bob Hayes being covered primarily by Curtis Johnson, number 46, but he lost him with that crossing move. Staubach now 4 out of 6 for a total of 40 yards. That's the first time he's really had good protection. Miami's had a good pass rush.
13-19 left to play in the first half. 2nd down, 10. The Cowboys at the Dolphin 44. This is a screen to Garrison. Short gain, about 4. It'll be 3rd down and 6. And Doug Swift and Nick Buonaconti, 2 of the 3 Dolphin linebackers, were outstanding on that stop. 2nd down, between 5 and 6 for the Cowboys. This is Dwayne Thomas with a screen. 35-yard line, looks like a Dallas first down. Curtis Johnson made the tackle. The main blocker, number 76, John Nyland.
A play that Dallas has had great success with. Watch Staubach fake to his right here to set up a screen to that side to Walt Garrison and then throw back to a one-man screen on the other side. As John Nyland was out blocking in front of Dwayne Thomas after he got the first down.
Curtis Johnson covering Allworth. This is 3rd and 9. Allworth. First down at the Miami 33. Dick Anderson made the tackle.
Take a look at Lance Allworth, number 19, one of the truly great receivers ever to play pro football, as he finds the open spot in the Miami zone. Right there. Just in front of Dick Anderson, who finally makes the tackle. 27-yard gain.
Staubach, Hill to the right. Touchdown, Allworth.
Fantastic move by Lance Allworth. To keep his feet in bounds, he was well covered by Curtis Johnson, the cornerback on that side. Johnson doesn't think he was in bounds. Let's take a look. Staubach again with good protection. Watch Allworth's feet. Yes, sir, he's got him down, no doubt about it.
3rd and 3. And that's Calvin Hill for a first down at the 48-yard line, and Mike Colin made the tackle.
They're going to stay where they are.
2nd and 20. Staubach, after faking a screen, and oh, did he get hit at the 33-yard line. Pick up a 5 awfully tough yards.
That's Nick Granicotti, who took the wild shot at Staubach. Watch it again. Anytime a quarterback comes out of that pocket running with the football, he takes a chance of the defensive unit being a little extra in
how it came about. On 3rd and goal, Staubach. Touchdown! Mike Ditka.
The Dolphins had a blitz going again as Granicotti blew up the middle, but Staubach was able to pick up his tight end. Something that Dallas Cowboys rarely do, and that is throw to the tight end. Here comes Granicotti, number 85, who took himself right out of the play. He almost got to Staubach, but that move weakened his secondary just enough. And then give the football up, we'll see.
3rd and about 5. Really drilled to Mike Ditka. First down at the 47-yard line. Dick Anderson made the tackle. Mike Ditka has his 2nd big catch of the game.
Clutch catch again by Ditka. Staubach on a semi-rollout. Really drilled it, as you said. Ditka had been lined up on the left side, came across, and just took it away from the linebacker who was covering.
Cowboys just 5 minutes and a couple of seconds away from a victory that, oh, how much they want it. Staubach still has it, looking deep, gonna run, 25. Out of bounds, 24-yard line on a gain of 5, with exactly 5 minutes remaining.
He's carried it 5 times this afternoon for 18 yards, not as good as his average.
Over the years, the precision of the Cowboy offense has not altered. But in 1971, the synchro mesh of the Dallas attack added some salty dog, the Dodger, Roger Staubach. The scramble is not Tom Landry's favorite play, but Staubach had successfully used the tactic in 9 straight victories since being named starting quarterback. Today, Staubach's shoulder shaking would lead him down a dead-end alley of Dolphins. In the first quarter, Staubach left the pocket 5 times and lost a total of 9 yards. Staubach could rest easy in the pocket and strike up a passing attack. Still, something was missing, and for that something, Staubach needed to look no further than his own huddle. Number 19, Lance Allworth, was ready, but he had spent a frustrating first quarter running roughshod through the Dolphin zone while Staubach scrambled. he took his problem to the proper authority. And when the Dallas ground game stalled, the magical hands of Lance Allworth were ready. For a decade, the feats of this man have been legend, but now he was about to make what he would call later the two most important catches of his career. On Allworth's first catch, he once again wove his way to the open area of the zone. On the second, his quick feet tapped out touchdown. A super receiver had finally found a fitting showcase for his skills, and Staubach settled into his role of captain with easy confidence. Looked on as his Dallas Cowboys finally sealed sweet victory. Dallas led 24-3, and for the first time in their history, the crown fit.
Staubach drops back to pass, sets up, pass to the end zone, touchdown! It's the hammer, Mike Ditka!
Dallas moved the ball effortlessly and gave ground reluctantly.
I remember Coach Landry being lifted off the shoulders of the players coming off the field. I still have that picture of him smiling. They asked Walt Garrison, have you ever seen Coach Landry smile? And he said, no, but I was only there 9 years. But Walt was actually the guy lifting him off the field with that smile on his face. So it just it was kind of a magic time. You know, I didn't anticipate that kind of magic, especially when the way the season started. It's the best feeling I've ever had as an athlete was in that locker room, and the satisfaction of winning that game. We were 4-3, and all of a sudden we were Super Bowl champions.
And a pretty good football player too. This is the quarterback Roger Staubach, who did such an outstanding job again today after leading this Cowboy team through the second half of the year. Roger, must be a great thrill to you.
It's tremendous. You know, you start out in July, you work like crazy, and we were down and out at 4-3, and we've had the ability. The team was there, and all of a sudden we just turned it around, and it's a tremendous thrill, especially when you're 4-3 and come back and win the Super Bowl, and it's everything that an athlete wants.
What do you think turned it around?
Well, there's a lot of factors. As I say, the team's ability was here. We were 4-3. We just decided to play football, and we played them 1 week at a time. We didn't worry about anything but the next Sunday, and that's a big factor. You've got to worry about the job at hand, and fortunately we did, and we took them one at a time, and we ended up here in good old New Orleans and with a victory today.
How about this team you beat today, the Miami Dolphins? Did they do anything unexpected as far as you as a quarterback are concerned?
No, they played their zone defense. They were double teaming the wide receiver, and fortunately we had a few key third down plays. We kept the ball of course on the ground. I think we had over 200 yards rushing,
right,
which
Super
is
Bowl record,
which we need. When the Cowboys are running the football, everything else opens up, and we're an explosive offensive team, and we've got to run the football. Passing is much easier when that happens, and today we were running, we were blocking, and it opened up other things for us, and that was the key to the game.
I got the impression early in the game that you were having difficulty picking up secondary receivers, that because possibly they were doubling on the outside, that you were pulling the ball down a lot.
Well, that's true. I give Coach Landry a few gray hairs now and then. I miss some receivers, but again, I really I'd have to look at the film, and I've done this in the past.
I didn't say you missed him. I said it looked like you had trouble finding him.
Yeah, I did miss him, just looking downfield, and I'm sure that people were open, but again, we hit some key third downs there. A big play. Lance caught the ball there in that first touchdown drive that we had, and Bob made a good move on that first series. You know, caught the turn in there. So we had some big third downs, and fortunately our defense was great again, and we moved the ball on the ground. So I'll tell you, this is a happy, emotional Dallas Cowboy football team.
What are you going to do tonight?
Well, my wife and family and her family's here. We're just gonna relax, talk about it, and go to a team function. And I'm just thankful, thank the Lord and everybody else that we had a successful football season.
Roger, I know it's pretty early to talk about this, but you must pattern what's going to happen to you now from this off season and in future years. What are you going to do as far as football is concerned? You might be tired of it right now in the off season.
Well, I think an athlete, if he becomes complacent, he'll get knocked on his head. And I'm going to work harder this off season. There's a lot of things I have to learn, and I'm looking forward to the off season. I'll start working out very hard in March and relax. I'm involved with Aurora and also some commercial real estate. So I've got some good things going, and but I'm going to start working out again in March.
You'd like to call the plays yourself?
Well, this is something I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on film, and I think to be a complete quarterback, you've got to have complete control of your offense. And, of course, when you're 10-0, it's going to be hard to convince Coach Landry that I'm going to call the plays.
I guess it is. Roger, congratulations to you on being a world champion.
Thank you, Pat.
It's a great thrill, I know.